This episode was brought to you with the help of the guys at Skillshare. Watch the entire video and you'll get access to a special promotion that they're offering. How can I make a lot of money, travel the world, work as much or as little as I want, all while doing something that I actually enjoy? Improvement pill, that's impossible. Only the extremely lucky and the incredibly hardworking people can accomplish this dream. Look, this might have been the case hundreds of years ago or even a couple of decades ago, but we now live in an age where you can actually pull this off. Yes, you see it all around you. There's tons of people starting websites, channels, Twitch streams, blogs, you name it, and they're making a living out of it. So today I'm gonna break down all of the steps and show you exactly how to do just this. No nonsense, no fluff. This video will actually teach you how to pull this off. For the purposes of this video, I'm gonna assume that you already have a hobby, a passion, a craft in mind. If you don't, that's a whole nother problem, and you should definitely check out my video on how to find a passion, which I will link to in the description box below. But for now, I'm gonna assume that you already have one. The first step is to get decent. Emphasis on the word decent. You don't have to become great at what you do. You just have to become somewhat good. Let me explain. So a lot of people think that in order to make money doing what you love, you have to be the best of the best. You have to be in the top 0.01% of dancers to make it a Broadway or to start your own dance camp. You have to be in the top 0.01% of painters to be able to hold galleries and sell paintings. And that's far from the truth. See, you don't need to be better than 99.99% of people in order to make money. You just have to be in the top 30%, and that's way easier than you think it is. Imagine that this chart represents everyone who likes art, drawing, painting, etc. There's going to be a large chunk of people who are interested in art but have never tried it out. They may have just found out about their love for art, they might just watch videos of people drawing, but they never practice it themselves. They have 0 hours of practice and they make up about 20% of all people who like art. The next group of people is the largest. They're what I like to call the newbies. This group is made up of people who have just started getting into the hobby, or maybe were dedicated for a while but somehow lost their motivation. They have less than 100 hours of total practice and they make up about 50% of all people who are interested in this craft. The next group of people is what I like to call the amateurs. They've logged anywhere between 100 to 500 hours of practice, and from the outside, people consider them to be pretty good at what they do, and they make up about 25% of the population. Above them are the veterans. They've logged anywhere from 500 to 2,000 hours of practice. They are considered to be very good and very talented. Some of them are able to make some money from their skills, but very few actually make a living. They make up about 4% of the group. Next up are the experts. They have anywhere between 2,000 to 5,000 hours of practice. And here's where most people think you have to be in order to make a living. These guys only make up about 0.99% of the people who are interested in a craft. And finally, we have the masters. These guys are rare. They've dedicated their life to the craft and they have accumulated more than 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. They get paid very well for the most part, and it's because they're so good that everyone recognizes their talent. They make up only 0.01% of people who are interested in the craft. The misconception that the majority of us has is that we have to be either an expert or a master in order to make a living doing what we like. The truth is, it's entirely possible to make a living as long as you reach the amateur level. So all you're gonna need is anywhere from 100 to 500 hours of deliberate practice depending on what craft you like in order to pull this off, right? It's not that much. Now I want to clarify what I mean by deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is when you actively push your boundaries, when you try to do something in your craft that you haven't done before, something slightly harder than you normally do, and it's incredible what you can accomplish with just short amounts of deliberate practice. For example, there's a guy on YouTube called Mike Boyd, where he challenges himself to learn what are considered to be hard things. He sits down and practices whatever he's trying to accomplish non-stop, deliberately, until he pulls it off, and the results are mind-blowing. He learned how to juggle in 3 hours, and he learned how to ride a unicycle in just 2.5 hours. Is he a genius? By no means. He's just an average guy who sits down and deliberately practices things. The reason you need to get to the amateur level is because anyone who is under you in terms of skill will look up to you for advice and guidance. You'll be able to tap into a large market, 70% of the population, with only 100 to 500 hours of deliberate practice. And this leads us to step number 2, figuring out how you can provide value. Value is an interesting concept. It's sort of hard to explain and it deserves a video on its own. But for now, just keep in mind that anything that can make people happier has value, and anything that has value can be exchanged for money, because money is simply a piece of paper that has value. Now there are many ways to provide value, but I'm going to show you the 2 most profitable ways, as they are responsible for the majority majority of the money you can make following your passion. The first of the two is entertainment value. When you entertain people, you are making them feel a bit happier, which in turn means you're creating value for them. This is why things like Netflix and YouTube do so well, because people want to be entertained. Common forms of entertainment content are challenges, documentation, and comedy. Challenges are when you create a game with certain rules that you have to abide by. For example, if your craft is art, then you could create a video titled Drawing Challenge using only Crayola crayons. People like watching challenge content because they want to see what you can accomplish with certain rules in place. Documentation is when you document your journey, whether it be getting better at your craft or even your day-to-day life working on your craft. If your craft is taking pictures, you can create content about how you get your shots. Show us the journey you take every time you go out and take pictures. Write about the places you've gone, the people you've met, and the story behind every picture. Comedy is a bit harder to explain, but it's when you add your own sense of humor and pack it along with your craft. It doesn't really matter what you think is funny, because there's bound to be someone on the internet who also enjoys your sense of humor. A good example of this is Domix, an animator who likes to tell stories with his own touch of humor injected in every video. Now, the second most common way of providing value is through educational value. When you teach people how to do something, you are teaching them something that will make them happier. Educational content is very straightforward. Just teach from your experience. Going back to our example of drawing, you can make videos showing people how to draw hands. If your platform of choice is a blog, then you could create a blog post talking about the same subject. In order to create educational value, you have to know what you're talking about. If you're not at least somewhat decent at what you do, then people will not listen to your advice. This is the reason why I said you have to be at least an amateur in your craft of choice, because then you'll be better than 70% of people, which means you'll be able to create educational content that 70% of people who are interested in your craft will be willing to consume. Now that we know we have to get decent and we have to create some sort of value, the next step is what people consider to be the hardest. It's to gain an audience. In order to make a living, you need to have people who are willing to give you money. This is a rule of life. Any business that makes money needs to have traffic. So how can we attract people to us? For entertainment content, you have to make content that's either never been done before or a spin on something that already works. It's actually not a bad thing to copy an idea that already works for someone else and add a spin to it. For example, my channel was actually inspired by Fight Mediocrity. Same format, same animation style, but he focused solely on book summaries. So I decided to speak about more general concepts while using the same format he does. I copied something that already works, but I threw a spin on it, and because of that, I was able to gain followers. Now, it's much easier to gain an audience for educational content. Simply create videos around questions you know people have. You can do this easily by going on Google Keyword Planner, typing in a keyword which is something that's related to your craft, and voila, and all of a sudden you know exactly what people are searching for online. Simply make a video about this subject, title it the same exact way, and you will get views. Now, I do want to clarify something. You don't need hundreds of thousands of followers in order to make a living doing what you love. There's an economic rule called the 100 True Fan Rule. Basically, if you can get an audience of at least 100 people who are extremely passionate about your content, they watch every video, they read every blog post, they look at all your pictures, then you will be able to make a full living doing whatever it is that you love. And this brings us to the final step, which is to monetize. As you get better and better at your craft, as you create more and more content, you will start to gain an audience. Every couple hundred or couple thousands of views will net you one true fan. Now you need to provide them with something worthwhile that they can purchase. You must monetize. There are 3 very effective ways you can do this. The first is by selling merchandise, hats, shirts, posters, you name it. There's not much to say here. If you have true fans, they're going to want to represent what you stand for by wearing your merchandise. You can make a decent sum of money doing this, but you will have to design the products and set up a store. The next way to monetize is through what's called affiliate marketing, basically suggesting someone else's product and getting a cut of the profit. Since you've already established a relationship with your true fan, they like what you do, they like your content, they're going to be more prone to listening to your suggestions. So if your craft is bodybuilding and you tell your true fans that your favorite protein shake is Golden Protein and it's what you've been using for 5 years, then they're going to want to get their hands on Golden Protein. You can make a lot of money this way by simply suggesting them to try out other products. And the final way you can monetize your audience is through info products and services. Things like selling courses and offering coaching. And this is self-explanatory because if you are decent at your craft, you become qualified to teach anyone who is under you how to get to the point you are right now. now. These products can sell for a lot but also take up a lot of time to make and manage. So to sum it all up, you have to, number 1, get decent at your craft, which requires anywhere from 100 to 500 hours of deliberate practice depending on what your craft is. Number 2, figure out a way to provide value via entertainment or educational content, although it's best, in my opinion, to try to do both. Number 3, to gain an audience by continuing to create content. And finally, number 4, which is to monetize. I've just laid out the entire blueprint for you, so if you want to live this lifestyle, you know exactly what to do. You can start by getting good at whatever craft you're interested in, which brings me to the guys who've made this episode possible. Skillshare. Skillshare has over 17,000 unique videos teaching you about hundreds of different topics, including things like photography, drawing, productivity, business, and much, much more. Each of these videos are taught by experts who are considered to be very good at what they do. Personally, I've been interested in learning more about videography. My goal is to eventually create better videos for you guys in the future, and these video editing classes are teaching me exactly what I need in order to reach these goals. These lessons do a great job pushing me outside of my comfort zone, which allows me to get a lot of deliberate practice. For those of you that want to make a living doing what you love, I highly recommend checking out Skillshare using the link in the description box below. The first 350 people will get 2 months of learning for just 99 cents. After that, it's only $10 a month, which is super affordable and is a great investment. So act fast, guys.